There must be an industrial zone in each region, so that the children of the region are employed in these different industries that will be created there.
Some great news coming out of Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has launched its first homemade electric car.
In just 2 years, a 36-year-old military leader took one of Africa's poorest countries and did what experts said was impossible. He built a modern industrial economy from absolutely nothing. Since taking power in September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has been implementing what can only be described as a billion-dollar transformation project that is turning Burkina Faso into what many are calling a modern African paradise. This is not just another political story. This is about real change, real projects, and real results that are affecting millions of lives. Before we continue, hit that like button to support our video. To truly understand the scale of what is happening in Burkina Faso, we need to look beyond the headlines and into the actual policies, industries, and innovations reshaping the nation from the ground up. Because what Captain Traoré is building is not just impressive for Burkina Faso, it is surprising the Western influences that have tried to remove him. One of the most significant aspects of Traoré's transformation project is the focus on industrial development. For decades, Burkina Faso, like many African countries, was trapped in the cycle of exporting raw materials and importing finished products. Under Traoré's leadership, this cycle is being broken completely through strategic industrial investments. The approach is simple but revolutionary. Instead of shipping raw materials to other countries where they are processed and then buying back the finished products at much higher prices, Burkina Faso is now processing these materials locally. This creates jobs, keeps value within the country, and builds industrial capacity that can serve the entire West African region. What makes this approach particularly impressive is its systematic nature. It is not just about building one factory here and another there. It is about creating complete industrial ecosystems where each facility supports and strengthens the others. The results are already visible across multiple sectors. Let's start with something that might sound simple but is actually revolutionary: tomato processing. Under Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso established its first ever tomato processing plants.
This is part of the industrialization process. We can only be proud of our approach, which is understood by the people. The message for the Burkinabe is to have confidence, because this is concrete proof. And I invite the Burkinabe to continue to subscribe to the popular shareholding program. Endogenous development is a doctrine. We can only develop through ourselves.
Now, you might be thinking, what is the big deal about tomatoes? But this is why it matters. Before these plants, Burkina Faso was importing tomato paste and processed tomato products from other countries. Despite having the climate and soil to grow excellent tomatoes, farmers were selling their fresh tomatoes at very low prices to middlemen, who would then export them or let them rot due to lack of processing facilities. The establishment of these 2 tomato processing plants has created a complete value chain that demonstrates the power of local processing. Now, farmers have guaranteed buyers for their produce. They are getting prices that are 3 to 5 times higher than what they were getting before. The plants also employ hundreds of people directly, from machine operators to quality control specialists to logistics coordinators. But the indirect job creation is even more impressive. The plants have created demand for packaging materials, leading to the growth of local packaging companies. They have increased demand for transportation services, benefiting truck drivers and logistics companies. They have created opportunities for agricultural input suppliers who provide seeds, fertilizers, and equipment to farmers. And they have reduced the country's import bill by millions of dollars annually. More importantly, these plants have demonstrated that Burkina Faso can produce world-class processed food products. The tomato paste and other products from these plants meet international quality standards and are being exported to neighboring countries. What was once an import has become an export, completely transforming the economics of tomato production in the country. But Traoré did not stop at tomatoes. Burkina Faso has always been a major cotton producer, but like with tomatoes, the country was exporting raw cotton and importing finished textile products. Traoré's government built the country's second cotton processing plant, significantly increasing the country's capacity to process cotton locally. The impact of the second cotton processing plant extends far beyond just job creation. Cotton is often called white gold in West Africa, and Burkina Faso has some of the best cotton in the world. However, for decades, the country was sending this high-quality cotton to textile mills in Asia and Europe, then importing finished textile products at much higher prices. The new processing capacity has changed this dynamic completely. Local textile manufacturers now have access to high-quality cotton fiber at competitive prices. This has led to the growth of a domestic textile industry that is creating products not just for local consumption, but for export as well. The plant has also introduced modern textile manufacturing techniques that improve both quality and efficiency. Workers are being trained in state-of-the-art equipment operation, quality control, and textile design. This skills development is creating a new generation of textile technicians and engineers who can support the growth of the industry. In addition, the plant has implemented sustainable practices that reduce environmental impact. Water recycling systems, energy-efficient machinery, and waste reduction techniques are all part of the operation. This positions Burkina Faso as a leader in sustainable textile production in West Africa. The economic impact is significant. The plant has reduced the country's dependence on textile imports by an estimated 40% and has created export opportunities worth millions of dollars annually. It's also encouraging investment in related industries like garment manufacturing, textile design, and fashion retail. However, the most significant industrial development under Traoré's leadership is in gold processing. In November 2023, Burkina Faso's Council of Ministers approved the construction of the country's first gold refinery. This is massive news for several reasons. Burkina Faso is one of Africa's largest gold producers, but for years the country was exporting unrefined gold to Europe and other regions, where it was processed and sold at much higher prices. Under Traoré's new policy, the export of unrefined gold has been stopped. The gold refinery project represents maybe the most transformative industrial development in Burkina Faso's history. Burkina Faso produces approximately 60 to 70 tons of gold annually, making it one of the top gold producers in Africa. Before the refinery, all of this gold was exported in its raw form to refineries in Europe. The price difference between raw gold and refined gold products is huge, sometimes as much as 30 to 40%. This means that Burkina Faso was essentially giving away hundreds of millions of dollars in potential revenue every year. The gold refinery changes this completely. Now, instead of exporting raw gold at, say, $1,800, 0 cents per ounce, the country can export refined gold products at $2,200, 0 cents per ounce, depending on the product and market conditions. But the impact goes beyond just the price changes. The refinery has created a new industry cluster around gold processing. Specialized companies are being established to provide services to the refinery, everything from security services to transportation, from chemical suppliers to equipment maintenance. The refinery has also attracted international attention and investment. Gold jewelry manufacturers, precious metals dealers, and even central banks are expressing interest in purchasing refined gold products directly from Burkina Faso. This is creating new market opportunities and strengthening the country's position in the global gold market. Moreover, the refinery is designed with future expansion in mind. As production increases, the facility can be expanded to handle larger volumes and to produce more sophisticated gold products. There are already plans to add gold jewelry manufacturing and gold coin production capability. In 2023, Traoré also inaugurated a state-of-the-art gold mine that represents the latest in mining technology. This mine is not just about extracting gold, it is about doing it in an environmentally responsible way while maximizing benefits for local community. This mine incorporates the latest mining technologies, including automated extraction systems, advanced ore processing techniques, and real-time monitoring systems that maximize gold recovery while minimizing environmental impact. What sets this mine apart is its commitment to local employment and skills development. Unlike previous mining operations that often relied heavily on foreign expertise, this mine has made local employment a priority. Over 80% of the workforce consists of Burkinabe citizens, and the mine operates extensive training programs that are developing local expertise in modern mining techniques. While industrial development is impressive, Traoré understands that you cannot build a modern economy without modern infrastructure. His government has launched several massive infrastructure projects that are literally changing the landscape of Burkina Faso. One of the most significant infrastructure developments is the focus on transportation. In May 2025, the World Bank approved a $216 million zero-cents project for the Sikasso-Korhogo-Bobo-Diawaso Basin of Integration Project. This project is designed to strengthen climate-resilient road and rail infrastructure in the subregion. Another critical area of infrastructure development is the power sector. Burkina Faso is working on expanding its power generation capacity through various means, including solar PV installations, hydroelectric projects, and improved transmission and distribution lines. The focus on renewable energy, particularly solar power, makes perfect sense for Burkina Faso. The country has abundant sunshine throughout the year, and solar power can provide clean, affordable electricity for both urban and rural areas. This is particularly important for rural communities that have been underserved by traditional power grids. The development of the power sector is crucial for industrial development. You can't run processing plants, refineries, and manufacturing facilities without reliable electricity. The expansion of power infrastructure is therefore a foundation for all other development projects. Agriculture remains the backbone of Burkina Faso's economy, employing a majority of the population. Traoré's development projects have paid special attention to transforming agriculture from subsistence farming to commercial, value-added agriculture. One of the most innovative aspects of Traoré's agricultural policy is the focus on complete value chains. Instead of just helping farmers grow crops, the government is ensuring that there are processing facilities, storage facilities, and market linkages for agricultural products. The tomato processing plants mentioned earlier are a perfect example of this approach. But it is not just tomatoes. The government is developing value chains for various crops, including cotton, sesame, shea nuts, and other agricultural products that Burkina Faso produces. The government is also promoting modern farming techniques that increase productivity and reduce environmental impact. This includes the use of improved seeds, better irrigation systems, and modern farming equipment. For a country where agriculture depends largely on rainfall, improved irrigation is particularly important. The government is investing in irrigation infrastructure that allows farmers to grow crops year-round rather than just during the rainy season. One aspect of Traoré's development vision that often gets overlooked is the focus on technology and innovation. Despite being a military leader, Traoré has a clear understanding of the role technology plays in modern development. The government is investing in digital infrastructure, including internet connectivity and mobile communication networks. This is particularly important for rural areas that have been underserved by traditional communication networks. The government is also working on digitizing government services. This means that citizens can access various government services online, reducing the need to travel to government offices and reducing opportunities for corruption. There are also efforts to create innovation hubs where young entrepreneurs can develop technology solutions for local problems. These hubs provide space, mentorship, and funding for tech startups. This focus on innovation is particularly important for a young population. Burkina Faso has a very young population, with a median age of around 17 years. These young people are tech-savvy and eager to create solutions for their community. However, one of the biggest challenges facing Burkina Faso is security. The country has been dealing with terrorist attacks and insurgency, particularly in the northern regions. Traoré understands that without security, all development projects are at risk. In 2024, Traoré announced the creation of a special rapid intervention brigade that brings together elite units and elements of the special forces. The armed forces continue to be equipped with new heavy protection equipment and increased operational capacity. But Traoré's security strategy goes beyond just military action. He understands that long-term security requires addressing the root causes of insurgency, including poverty, lack of opportunities, and social exclusion. That is why he has focused on community-based security. This involves working with local communities to identify and address security threats. Local communities often have the best information about suspicious activities, and they're most affected by security problems. Community-based security also involves creating economic opportunities in areas affected by insurgency. When young people have jobs and hope for the future, they are less likely to be recruited by terrorist groups. Traoré has also focused on regional cooperation for security. In July 2024, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger formed the Alliance of Sahel States. This alliance coordinates security efforts across the three countries, which face similar security challenges. The alliance also cooperates on development projects, recognizing that security and development are closely linked. When people have economic opportunities, they are more likely to support government efforts to maintain security. The impact of Traoré's development projects is becoming clear in economic data. According to a recent study, Burkina Faso's economy can grow at an average rate of 8% from 2025 to 2043. This would translate into an additional GDP per capita of $1,120.00 above current levels. The establishment of processing plants and manufacturing facilities is beginning to show results in terms of job creation and economic growth. Manufacturing employment is increasing and the country is becoming less dependent on imports for certain products. While economic development is important, Traoré's government has also focused on social development, recognizing that investing in people is crucial for long-term success. The government is investing in education and skills development to ensure that the population has the skills needed for the new economy. This includes vocational training programs that teach skills relevant to the new processing plants and manufacturing facilities. There is also a focus on higher education, particularly in technical fields like engineering, agriculture, and technology. The goal is to reduce the country's dependence on foreign expertise and build local capacity. Healthcare is another area of focus. The government is working to improve healthcare infrastructure and services, particularly in rural areas. Better healthcare is not just a social good, it's also important for economic development, as healthy people are more productive. Looking ahead, Traoré's vision for Burkina Faso is ambitious but achievable. The goal is to transform the country into a modern, industrialized nation that can compete in the global economy while maintaining its cultural identity and sovereignty. The industrial development is expected to continue, with plans for more processing plants and manufacturing facilities. The goal is to create a diversified economy that's not dependent on any single sector. The investment in human capital is expected to continue, with more focus on education, skills development, and healthcare. The goal is to ensure that the population has the skills and health needed to participate in the modern economy. The focus on technology and innovation is also expected to expand, with more investment in digital infrastructure and innovation hubs. The goal is to make Burkina Faso a leader in technological innovation in West Africa. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is transforming Burkina Faso. It is clear that something remarkable is happening in this West African nation. What started as a military coup in September 2022 has evolved into what many consider one of the most comprehensive development programs in modern African history. The numbers speak for themselves. 2 tomato processing plants, the first in the country's history, a state-of-the-art gold mine, and the first ever gold refinery, a second cotton processing plant, the end of unrefined gold exports, a $216 million 0-cents infrastructure project, the projection of 8% economic growth from 2025 to 2043. These are not just statistics, they represent millions of lives being transformed. But what is most impressive about Traoré's approach is how it addresses the fundamental challenges that have held back African development for decades. Instead of just exporting raw materials, Burkina Faso is now processing and adding value to its resources. Instead of depending on foreign companies to extract wealth, the country is building its own capacity. Instead of ignoring rural communities, the development projects are creating opportunities throughout the country. The transformation is not just economic, it is psychological. For the first time in decades, young Burkinabés can look at their country and see a future of possibilities rather than limitations. They can see that it is possible to build world-class industries, to compete in global markets, to create prosperity at home. Of course, challenges remain. Security issues in the northern regions, questions about political stability, resource constraints, and regional tensions all present obstacles. But what's remarkable is how a young leader with a clear vision and practical approach has been able to mobilize resources and support to implement real change. The story of Burkina Faso under Traoré is still being written, but the early chapters are incredibly promising. What is happening in Burkina Faso is proof that with the right leadership, vision, and commitment, African countries can indeed transform themselves. For other African countries watching, the lessons are clear. Focus on value addition, invest in your people, build the infrastructure needed for modern development, and always remember that real development must benefit ordinary citizens, not just elites. What do you think about Traoré's transformation of Burkina Faso? Do you think this model can be replicated in other African countries? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about African development and transformation.